extension appeared. So let us notice that HTML is not really Unicode compliant because it appeared first. On the contrary, XML has been designed Unicode compliant for the first time in 1998. So, that was HTML. You can use it to derive new language, for example, HTML. For DocBook, the first version of DocBook was built on HTML. But you have to define precisely character sets, because there was not Unicode, just some extension to ASCII. Document type definitions, that was mandatory for HTML text. And some strange feature, omit tag, short tag. Let's have a look. That's a markup comparable with XML, but not systematic. Look there. This tag has a begin, but no end. If you put a closing tag href, you text fault. No delimiter for attribute values. And very strange. You can use empty tag. For example, here, this empty closing tag is for link. You can also use empty open tag. But that works. So, no problem. Maybe the command does nothing. Good. Do you understand? Good, look. When you use an empty open tag, it takes the name of the last closed tag. That is here, that is author. That's correct here, but not there. In fact, the message is lead author incorrect. At this time too, HTML was viewed as very rigid. At this time, some browsers developed incompatible extensions. In fact, there was a need for new markup language, especially generating HTML pages. And there was document style semantic specification language. That is for style sheet, for example. Here, the program in DSSSL. Some markup and some programming. And in fact, you know me. You know what is my preferred programming language. And in fact, in 1995, I was contacted by people from Paris. I was told that you are a master player in Scheme, please help me. I'm in fucking trouble with the DSSL program. So that way, this way, I discovered HTML, DSSL, and this way. In fact, it is a subset of scheme with a dimension comparable to what is handled by text. So, this time the solution was XML, with a simpler syntax, that is systematic markup. No closing tag without, no opening tag without closing one. No attribute value without delimiters. Simpler it is because in HTML you have some marks to put into action some features, for example, get rid of an opening tag or a closing tag. So the DTDs were simplified and Unicode compliant. The SSL was replaced by XSL. At this time, XSL has not yet split in two projects, that is XSLT for transformation and XSLFO for printing document. It was only one project, but text in XSL are XML text, that is a more systematic syntax, and XSL is declarative programming, judge more simpler. What is interesting for XML text, namespaces, which didn't exist in HTML. That is, you can partition the tags about some use. For example, that is a text describing a web service, and the description is belongs to this namespace, that is web service description language, but it can import some types described using this other formalism, that is XML schema. You can also use some other specification for protocol putting this web service into action here. Here and there. So in fact, you can define several kinds of tags. Another new feature, XPath. In HTML, there was no unified formalism to address parts of an HTML document. DSSL has its own, the other program too, and XPath was the standard way to address parts of a document of subpart of the same document. Also, you can link some documents in a better way than high time in HTML, and the combination of XPath and XLink allows to describe, to get access to a subpart of a document from another one, that is XPointer. More. For people who would like to program, we can use interfaces like DOM and SAX. DOM is a standard representation of an XML text as a tree, and SAX is based on events. That is, for example, If you are only interested in some specific parts of an XML, you can react to the fact that the parser is at this part and ignore the rest. And in fact, at the beginning, XML has some remembrances from HTML. Because you have two formulas, an XML syntax and the EBNF syntax. In fact, that's not really an XML tag. HTML that was a context, that is, to give some directive to the parser. The same it's not XML syntax. Simpler that DTDs of HTML, for example, so, in HTML there was more information. For example, here, that means you have to get rid of the end tag. That is the sign. If the O was here, that is no opening tag. It was ruled out in XML, but nevertheless,
So it is optional.
it is not XML text. So, revolution was to halt out this influence. For example, X-include is used to include some parts of an XML document, and DTList have been replaced by schema. Well, you have the choice: XML schema, RelaxNG, Schematron. In fact, DTDs were designed for textual documents, not for XML text related to databases. That is, types were very poor. And in schema you can express some constraint. For example, if you use XML schema or RelaxNG, you can express that grades for students are between 0 and 20. I don't know in Poland, but for example in France that's the rule, between 0 and 20. You can't express dynamic constraints. That is, if you consider a poem and not a posthum work, so the date should be between the birth and the death, but that is a dynamic constraint because the interval is defined in the text. You can do that in XML schema and RelaxNG, but you can with Schematron. And you can see a schema is an XML text in XML schema or in RelaxNG. Well, there are many XML dialects, for example XSLT with XSLFO, already cited. Notebook, which has redefined using schemas. XHTML, which is a new version of HTML with using strict syntax and more strict typing. For programming activity, you can express how to compile and install Java files with ANT, or manage some ambitious projects with Maven. They use configuration files using XML syntax. Web services, I showed you an example in WSDL. UDDI are used for repository of web services, so for protocol, and for XML encryption and XML signature. If we relate that to mail, if you send a mail, okay, if you use XML encryption, that means if someone intercepts your mail, he can't read it because it has no key to decipher it. If you use XML signature, that means if you receive a mail from me, you are sure that it is me and not another people who has substituted to me. And MLBTech use the language defined by a schema, MLBBO. What is the point? As meta language to derive new dialects. XML has completely eclipsed HTML because it's very easy to define new dialects, especially for interconnection purposes. About tools. That is good, quite good. In fact, if I consider XSLT, the World Wide Web Consortium designed a first version that was implemented. Okay, some criticism have been made and the second version was designed. So there is real progress. But the problem, the W3C is a machine to recommendation, but tools implementing really these recommendations are not immediately available. A good example is XSLFO. No tools implement the whole of this recommendation. That is, the recommendation is good, but you can find a tool implement the whole of it. So it's good, but from a directive point of view, more than a practical one. About web services, some people thought that efficiency should be improved, but not really inefficient. That is, maybe better. But good use of XML within web services. So, as XML eclipses HTML, yes. But, in fact, probably it's a problem inertia. XHTML did not replace HTML. If you search on the web, you can see some pages using XML, but very few. And in fact, XHTML was told, then abandoned. More precisely, HTML5 has been first designed using two versions. One traditional, that is based on HTML marked up on HTML, and the second one, XML compliant. But the second has been abandoned. Now, the HTML5 text are specified using this tag. That is just a tag. And the W3C has coined the term polyglot markup. In fact, existing tags follow the rules of HTML, and new tags follow the rule of XML. Really, polyglot markup. So, about the drawback of XML. Some people tell that texts are heavy because of explicit markup. Okay, but I showed you a text using HTML. It's very, very difficult if you don't know the rule to branch out. For me, that is the price to pay. Personally, I prefer nothing using HTML, but I prefer XML. And JSON was designed as an interconnection, but that is like program Java. If you would like to use braces and square bracket, JSON is for you. But for big text, personally, I won't use it.
Why? Why for big text you wouldn't use it?
For example,
Okay.
that's not equivalent JSON. Here is an example in JSON. But in fact, that's Java. If you don't have an editor to check the balancing of devices, not obvious. And second, that is not exactly like XML because you can express a contents of an element. For example, here, that is equivalent to an XML element with attributes, but not contents. You cannot express that.
Well, attributes can be content.
No ale to nie jest tego, nie? W przekładzie same
Marek Wojciechson.
To niektóre rzeczy na pewno.
we cannot express that. That is, the content of an element should be preceded by a label. If you want to translate that to JSON, you have to express first and last another label. So, another point. What is difficult in XML and heavy is not the syntactic analysis, very simple, but the lexical one, because a lexical analyzer must accept letters from Russian alphabet, Arabic alphabet, as constituent of identifiers. If you consider classical language, letters are just two intervals, lowercase letter, uppercase letter. And if you look at the Unicode maps, consider the portion of Latin one. You have many letters and sparse, some sign that the time division or the many signs. So in fact, you have to check on many intervals. That is very, very big, very, very slow down. A solution is to use an interface with Unicode properties, but that's quite big. You can tell me that for people who live in countries using non-Latin alphabet, that is interesting, but is that really useful? Not for specifying programming activity in INT or protocols, or even some programming language. It's complicated in comparison with the service provided. And the second drawback is the only way to put successive items are lists. If you use a database, you handle that because the software is in charge of storing all your items as it runs. But in XML, you have a text, you have an order in this text, and the implementation as a DOM tree should follow the order of this list. You have a big list, may be difficult to be handled. So, in fact, if you use XPath to search a database, that can be abused by your students, but not really efficient. In fact, my personal point of view is a light XML should be defined with a restricted character set in order to increase the efficiency of the lexical analyzer. For example, such a light XML could be used for TechLive. Norbert Peining told me that when XML was used for TechLive, that was catastrophic for efficiency, but I told him, but you are searching all the Unicode categories. Logic. And another construct should be designed for unordered sequences. I think it will be very useful. To end up, as a teacher, I can tell that I taught a student of a letter faculty in XSLT, that is, style sheet language. They were able to develop quite ambitious style sheet. I'm sure that never they would have done that with DSSSL. That's a point of view, but quite important. And another question, LGML survives only with HTML. is HTML the legacy language of the future.